Ancient Greek philosophers were some of the most influential thinkers in history. They were the first to develop a systematic approach to studying the world and the nature of reality, and their ideas have had a profound impact on the development of Western philosophy and science. Some of the most famous ancient Greek philosophers include Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle, who are known for their contribution to a wide range of fields, from ethics to politics. One of the greatest philosophers of the time, who often is overlooked, is Diogenes. Diogenes, also known as the Dog of Sinope, was a man of his own special sophistication, not seen in other philosophers. He was best known for his unique cynical outlook on life, as well as public urination, spitting on bystanders, and public masturbation. The story of Diogenes begins at Sinope, or Sinope as it's spelled in Turkey, is located near modern-day northern Turkey. Diogenes was raised by Hecesius, who was a banker. The proof of Diogenes' existence is very hard to find in physical objects, but can be seen in two separate coins which were possibly minted by his father. According to the text Heraclitus of Diogenes by Guy Davenport, which is a collection of all recorded interactions and statements of the men, Diogenes' first recorded statement was, "I have come to debase the coinage." There is much speculation as to why he defaced the currency, with the main two being that after visiting the Oracle of Delphi and being told to deface the currency, he did not question any possible interpretations of this statement and quite literally defaced the currency. Another theory is that after his father believed to have discovered counterfeit coins, he defaced them to take them out of circulation. My own personal theory, though, is that I believe this was the moment Diogenes dedicated himself to a life of cynicism and contentment as he ridded himself of all personal currency and belongings. Following this defacement of currency, Diogenes was swiftly exiled from Sinope. His delightful presence was transferred to Athens, where he would spend the majority of his life. Here in Athens, Diogenes owned, quite literally, nothing. He was boastfully homeless and encouraged others to join him. It was here that he would begin his lifelong feud with the philosopher Plato. Much of the recorded history and commentary from Diogenes is found within the works of Plato and a plethora of other works. The most notable work, which recounts a majority of Diogenes' life, is the ancient text by Diogenes Laertius, titled Lives of Eminent Philosophers. It is here where the most infamous encounter between Diogenes and Plato is recounted. Plato had defined man as an animal biped and featherless, and was applauded. Diogenes plucked a fowl and brought it into the lecture room with the words, "Here's Plato's man," brandishing this featherless fowl. This idea that happiness is derived from a lack of vanity and living in virtue is in direct opposition to what Plato believed in. Diogenes conveys that Plato's philosophy is an endless conversation. Diogenes' later life, although verbally documented, does not have too much evidence as to support what he did. It can be easily argued that he lived out his days in Athens. However, it is recounted by Epictetus in his discourses that Diogenes was captured by pirates and sold into slavery. At the auction, however, Diogenes states when asked what he is skilled in, that he is skilled in governing men, and points out a rich Corinthian man supposedly stating, "Sell me to that man, he could do with a master." And thus, Diogenes somehow reversed the roles of the auction. After being sold to a man named Xeniades, Diogenes was appointed to run the house and teach the children of this man. This version of Diogenes' midlife, presented by Stoic Epictetus, is more than likely fictitious, though, as Epictetus was born hundreds of years after Diogenes. Regardless of whether Diogenes was in Corinth or Athens, there is one event which is the most notable interaction between Diogenes and another eminent historical figure. When Alexander the Great was moving through the city, he came upon Diogenes, and the interaction goes as follows.
"I am Alexander the Great, and I am Diogenes the Dog. The dog, I nuzzle the kine, bark at the greedy, and bite the louts. What can I do for you, Diogenes? Stand out my light."
One would expect a swift punishment for insulting the most powerful man in the world at the time to his face, but rather, Alexander is supposed to have stated that he envied Diogenes. In the later life of Diogenes, he continued his teachings, and when asked why he did not stop due to his old age, he stated, "It is at the end of the race that you break into a burst of speed." There are three theories upon how Diogenes died, and they all seem equally likely. The first, and my personal favorite, as it seems like the most likely thing for him to do, is that he simply decided he was tired of living one day, and he stopped breathing. The second is that he was bitten by a dog and died of infection. The third is that he simply died of old age. It is also recounted that after his death, he was thrown into a ditch to be feasted on by wild dogs and other animals, so that nothing of him would be left behind, and that the little he took from this world he would give back. So, what can the modern person learn from Diogenes? Honestly, I think the fact that Diogenes lived to the age of 90 has to give some validity to the way he lived. Unfortunately, if one were to recreate the lifestyle of Diogenes, they would only be marked off as a rambling, homeless miscreant. It is reasonable that some already view Diogenes in this light, believing, like Plato, that the greatest good of man is virtue, whereas Diogenes believed that the greatest good of man is total freedom from all desires and belongings, as well as understanding that man is driven by his own self-interest. Although Diogenes may have been very crude in how he conveyed himself, he judged all men, no matter how poor or rich, equally. I believe that this is the most important thing which can be gathered from Diogenes. Whether you treat everyone poorly or everyone kindly, at least you will have treated them all equally.